Hello everyone, hope y'all are doing well. This is 3D Printed Animatronic Creature Part 38. This is 3D printed molds and core update, silicone measurement. Well, as you see here, I've been doing a lot of printing. I've been working on newborns and that big creature also, but I've been getting ready to start molding this creature. And but what I've been doing is printing mother molds and getting everything prepped. And as far as you see here, the way I've divided this mold, now this creature doesn't really have any type of ears, and I'm trying to keep things small and not so complex, like having human ears or like elf ears or wolf ears or whatever. But I just kind of divided it straight down. No difficulty in designing anything with tolerances if it was off shape or anything, but mainly just to keep the same size of what I got because I'm still limited. Now I've maxed out the printing uh, build platform on this P1S, but I mean it did really a good job on printing this. But you know, as far as my dividing line, it's going to come pretty much straight, and and plus what I'm about to show you is how I'm getting my measurement to my silicone of how much of this Mole Max 30 or this Mole Star 30 I'm going to be using. And on this back piece mother mole here, I was kind of worried about it locking in on the silicone and I wouldn't be able to pull it off. As you see here, I was looking at as once again doing a dividing line right here, and it would probably lock in right there at the neck shoulder area. But once again, I've divided uh, this back mother mole into two pieces. That way I'd be able to remove it when it's time to demole and remove this creature from the mold. These two mold pieces here, even though it was a lot of filament, it was actually, if I laid them down, more filament as far as having more supports. But each one of these halves were about 16-hour print time. Uh, the creature was roughly about 25 hours, and the core was also. Now, I had trouble when I was removing the core. I broke off the lip mechanisms off because of the supports. But, and I investigated, you know, other options, and you'll see later what as far as me solving that problem, what I did. But these supports were removed so well, and just they're just so easy just to take off. But once again, it is a lot of waste. But you know, doing it this way, I feel like I'm saving a lot of money. And even though it's not resin and this is FDM printing, I, I feel like this is a, a more economical way of doing it. And once again, you know, I have to order some more clay. I have the mold dam clay that I'm going to be using. But you know, you could sculpt on this sculpture here, and you know, once again, I would probably go with a PET G because it can tolerate some chemicals more than just straight PLA basic. But but as I put this mold together, it really comes together really well. But but once again, you know, a resin printer for this size creature would be $1,500 printer, and then on top of that, you know, once again, resin printing, you have a lot of cleanup, and that's using, you know, alcohol and submerging the whole piece in there and doing a cleaning, and then you have to cure it, and then on top of that, you have to get special molds or molding material or silicone, you know, to hit the to mold resin. And I'm just trying to put this as a budget, but overall, I'm happy with this mold right here. But I mean, this front piece probably took, I think it was 19 hours. And, but as far as the core, I'm having to redo the core, and I'll show you all that next. But, right here is where they broke off, and this is because of it got locked in because, I have a space underneath them. But what I did was, you'll see later where I kind of made just removed this upper lip area and made a socket and created a tolerance of, I think it was 20th of a millimeter maybe, of just to just to remove this whole piece right here, and that way I can just pop that in, just avoid that. And as you see here, I just pretty much copied this area right here on the core and just brought it in and SketchUp, just removed this. And as you see here, I just doing a plane cut, straight across. And I have two different sizes, one smaller than the other, and that would be the tolerances to make a socket on one side, and then have the lip mechanism on the other. And it was quite easy to do. It's just having to do it. And I even checked into doing, you know, water soluble filament, and also there was some other type of support filaments you could use that way. But it's I mean this whole core would is taking a little bit more than a whole roll of filament, and I'm trying to still trying to keep costs down of producing this 3D printed animatronic. You might hear my printer going on in the background. I'm printing the core as we speak right here, but I'm just doing a cleanup after I do a intersect with faces on this main cut right here. I'm just removing the what I don't need on this one because I duplicated both of them. That way I can just make the socket and then just make the lip mechanism. But a lot of times when I do intersect with faces, it has trouble, calculating some of these small areas here because, I mean, this is less than a half a millimeter right here. But just part of the design, and, you know, physical, editing, which is, I done got used to it, and I got kind of quick at it. But as you see here, I'm just trying to, when a lot of times I'll have like, you know, uh, hidden geometry that I'm not seeing that I have to turn that on so I can visually see where the problem is. As you see here, I've turned it on and I can see these other areas. But if I don't turn it on, I can't remove them. But I just clean up this whole area right here, and I'll just go to the second copy, and I'll just copy that, and and then just add it to it. And that way I don't have, as you see here. But this didn't take, I mean, 30 minutes for me to do. But and I'm quite happy with the results. But once again, I'm printing it right now, and should just have this socket fit in place. And I'll probably glue it, and then I'll probably touch it up with some clay around there, and then seal it, and then. But once again, I'm going to be adding some clay to the core underneath the chin and on top of the head where you see some of the, uh, the layer lines. But I'm happy with it, and we'll be able to get us a 3D printed creature skin soon. Once again, the core has been printing as we speak, and it's been printing for 2 hours, and it's 22-hour print. And it takes a little bit more than a little bit more. It takes a whole roll and just a little bit, maybe a quarter of another roll. And but I'm happy with that, and but you know, I really designed this animatronic to this printer as far as being its build platform, and I've maxed it out. I can't go any wider or taller, even though it does say 256. I'm at 250, and as far as height, it's maxed out at 248. For some reason, I can't go any higher according to what their specs are. But and I'm happy with that. But I was expecting 256, and I cut it back down, uh, to 3 millimeters as being an extra space to work with. But I'm stuck at 256. I mean, 250 all the way around. But I'm happy with the printer. It is a really good printer. But I wish it was a little bigger, because when it gets bigger, uh, we'll be able to print even bigger animatronics. But as far as a bigger printer, you know, most inside doorways are what, 32, and I would think it would have to be, you know, I guess no bigger than that, because they couldn't get it in their doorway. But what I did here is what I copied. I just removed it, and then what I've created as far as the socket of the lip mechanism, I'll just place it in there and join the two together. But it's worked out pretty good, and I'm happy with the design. But now I'm printing, and we'll see how that works. But that'll be up probably on the next video. But I'm using an ABS system, and I have 4 rolls of filament in there, and they're all gray. And when it runs out, it'll automatically detect that and go to the next roll of filament and print. And that's great. So it's always continuing to print. But I'm happy with this design here, and I'm once again printing the core. I've already printed the lips too. But as you see here, I'm gonna put this together, and we're gonna do just to see how much silicone I'm gonna be needing to mold these two with Moldstar 30. In the back of these mother molds, I have a bent hole and a pour hole, and mainly it's going to be used also as a displacement of the silicone when it starts to get close, because I really don't want to fill up those holes, because it'll be something that I have to remove, or it could interfere with me demolding. But Mitch from Brick in the Yard, uh, he he recommended using rice, and I've used water for years to get a measurement of my silicone. But once again, PLA and or 3D prints and water really don't really go too good together. But I just poured in the rice and removed those plugs and released all the rice to get a proper measurement of how much silicone I'm going to be using for this front or this back half of on this one here is the back half. And but it really worked out pretty good. Now I'll probably go with a little more than what it says, because I just don't want to waste a whole lot of silicone. And I'll probably go a little bit more than, as you see here, probably up to 48, maybe a little more, because once again, I rather have extra, but not too much extra. And I believe on the back mold, I mean, this is the back, that you're seeing here, I might have edited this wrong, but as far as this one being, we'll probably go, 48, maybe a little more. But as you see here, I'm going to do the other part. And once again, I got plugs for this. And then when I pour them, I'll pour them up to these holes, but one's lower than the other as far as the shape of the inside of the mold. And I'll just use it as far as a displacement of the silicone, and then I'll just tape it down and I'll continue pouring up to that pour hole. But I'll just pour in some rice, and probably once again I'll probably be finding rice all over my work area for a while. But this one here worked out pretty good also. I'm happy, and it's, I ain't got to deal with no water, liquid, and cleaning up and drying any kind of parts or prints. But once again, this measurement here is, I believe I'm probably going to be mixing according to this measuring uh, bucket that I'm going to be using. I believe it said it was 250, it was 56 ounces that I'll probably be mixing, but I'll just remove these plugs and let it pour out. And this little trick works out good. And once again, I'm used to water, but this way keep everything dry, especially being a 3D print. But yes, this right here was going to be probably a 56 ounce, and then divide this in half and doing a two-part pour or two-part mix. But it worked out really good. But what I'm going to be doing like right now is like, here's the animatronic. I got to replace the servos underneath the chest piece area, and I recommended some of these high-tech servos, and I'm going to be this is the ones I recommended for y'all to get. They're the ones that are building this animatronic. But I had some old some King Max servos. Kind of disappointed in them. They kind of drain the battery a little bit too much. And then I have my teeth here that I will probably put these in, probably one of the last things I do, even after I make the skin. But as you see here, I'm printing the new core now that's going to have a socket for this lip mechanism. And probably have another 19 hours to go. And here's the clay that I ordered for the mold dam. And I use this cheap clay here just to create, the mold dams for a lot of my sculptures and things. But what I do is I'll fill this the mold up with some plastic, trash bags, something like that, to just do a filler so I can lay this clay and do a dividing wall right there. But before I do that and I get everything finalized to get ready to mold this, and after I do some clay touch up on the sculpture, I'm going to put some silicone on these flat areas here of the divider wall, and so I can kind of secure it with some silicone to create a gasket. And I'll be doing that also with this front piece. I'll just put on some, just brush on a thin layer of silicone right here and let it set up. And I'll also put it on the bottom there so it'll set up on the bottom plate of the core. And then that way I can just have everything kind of a gasket all the way around, so I won't have any type of a blowout, even though this is all flat. But that should help a lot. But I'll also have like tape, and it'll be all secured down with screws. But once again, I got an animatronic, got a core, sculpted on the core to produce the creature. And then after that, I'll remove the creature and put in the core, and then we'll mix up some EcoFlex 10 to produce the silicone skin. I got 3 of these little trial units, and but as far as what we're going to be using is going to be a Mold Star 30, and I ordered a gallon kit system for it, and but we'll be able to create the mold for this creature so we can produce an animatronic skin. But I've used this a lot and I've always enjoyed this silicone. But look, and also I got some man's release that's really needed. Hope y'all like. Let me know. Later, y'all.